In this video, I will demonstrate how to add internal trends into the PCA controller we configured in the network schedule video. So this will be the network trend video, and I will add trends to it and then download the PCA and then import those trends into the FX supervisor. Now, this controller is already configured as a PCA 2611. So if we go to the Advanced tab, it will be populated and active. Now, I can go down and hit the trends, right click on it and add a trend. And now you can see that this trend is already set up to be 144 samples, and there's a total out of 24,000 samples available to be saved in the PCA controller. So now I will select the trend, and I can pull it up and edit it. And we'll start by going to the input reference. So right here I can click, and it will go to the tree and allow me to choose the trend of my choice. So let's go ahead and choose the leaving water supply temperature, and I want the present value, and click OK. Now this trend is enabled, which is good. I'm going to come up here and rename this trend to leaving water supply temperature so it matches my input reference. I have a buffer size of 144 samples. We'll just go ahead and use that. You can see that you could choose up to 5,000 samples. I could do it on COV increments, but I'll go ahead and just leave it as at the time. And here is the sample interval, 600 seconds. For my demo, I'm going to change that to 60 so I get more samples a little quicker. Now I can have a start time and a stop time, but I'll leave that unspecified so we just have a 24-hour day. And I can stop when full, true or false. Instead, I'm going to go false, so I overwrite the samples. Now I'll go ahead and apply that. And I can go to trends and add a trend. Come over here, edit it, choose the input reference, and here's the leaving water return temperature. I'll go ahead and rename that and hit apply. So now I have two trends, and if I come up here, I can also show that the inputs will indicate that there are trends created for those inputs. And maybe I want to add one more trend. So I'll right click, add a trend. And let's choose a binary or a different trend. So we'll go ahead and go to the input and pull this down. And then you can see I have a loop pump supply temp. And here's the boiler control. So I can trend the boiler, the pumps, and let's go ahead and just trend the loop pump 1. And again, I'm going to define this as loop pump 1 and hit apply. So now I have 3 trends created in my PCA controller, and I will save those. And load them into the controller. Okay, now that the PCA controller is downloaded with the modified program, the PCA will be pulling trend data from the leaving water supply temperature about once a minute. So I can go up back to the FX 20, and now under the HP loop control, which is the controller I downloaded, I can go into the trend logs. And now, again, I am under the controller. In the trend logs, I can go ahead and discover the trends. Now there's a leaving water supply temperature, return temperature, and a loop pump. So I can select these, add them to my FX20 database. Now again, I can have it do it once a day. In this case, I can do it at interval. And just for my convenience, I'll go ahead and set it up to pull the trends every minute, 7 days a week. Again, this is enabled. I can go ahead and set the capacity of the trends here. And maybe I want to set up a capacity because my FX20 will run out of memory. And 500, maybe 1,000 trends. And then I'll want to go ahead and add these up to the controller. And here's the time zone. So I'm going to go ahead and put this as Eastern time and click OK. Now you can see that all the trends have been added to my network. And here I can go ahead and execute this. So now it should have pulled in the trends for the leaving water supply temperature because I set that to be updated once a minute. And let's go up to the point histories screen. And under this controller, you can see I have the leaving water supply temperature. And I can go ahead and build a graph of that data. And right now, of course, I only have one trend sample. But every minute, the PCA controller will sample that data, and every minute it will then be updated and loaded into my FX20 controller. This has been a demonstration of how to set up internal trends in a PCA controller and then import them into the FX20 or the FX supervisor controller.